As today we're talking about single parenting, I think it's only appropriate that we speak to some single parents, and we're joined by Christine Andrews and Paul Rosenberg. How are you guys today?
Great.
Fantastic, thanks.
Doing really well.
At that moment in time when the decision was made to leave, I assume, your husband, what was going through your mind? I mean, there's lots of issues there besides leaving a partner. You also have a lot more responsibility by yourself.
That's right. In my particular circumstances, my ex-husband, he went overseas for a couple of years to start up a business, and 15 years later he's still there. So I was left with 4 children between the ages of 2 and 10. And at that time, because I did have a 2-year-old, I actually wasn't working for probably about the first time. So the first thing that had to happen was, how am I going to bring up the children? Because he was just going to be starting up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I had to do. So for me, it was a case of, I guess, a lot of mixed emotions. Of I was very scared. You know, he was a breadwinner at that stage, so I had to become the breadwinner. Like I said, the 4 children, I had to make sure that their education. Yes, they were going to be with me because they weren't going to be moving overseas, but that meant 24 hours, 7 days a week on my own instead of having someone to share them with. So at that time, you start to look around you and have a look and see where you can get support. Parents, friends.
What was the support like?
Yeah, parents. My mum was an absolute gem. She was just amazing.
Mothers are like that.
Yeah, mum was great. Mother-in-law also, ex-mother-in-law helped out a lot because, you know, the sun shined out of.
She felt obliged too.
Yeah, okay, that one.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they were very, very helpful, and I mean, I'm totally grateful for that because it gave me a chance to go out there. I started up a business, and yeah, I've been going ever since. So
That's fantastic.
It's balancing. Has a lot to do with balancing, and you know.
How did that differ from your situation, Paul?
I was very fortunate that we moved out, and I decided that from day one I wanted to have my kids as often as I could. And in the best scenario, if I couldn't be a full-time parent, then at least be there half the time. So I'm very fortunate and grateful that I have 50% shared care, and I have them a week on, week off.
Mm-hmm.
For most fathers, unfortunately, they don't get that opportunity, and they either get them every second weekend or once a fortnight on a Wednesday night, which is a real shame. And I think society and the law are trying to emphasise the father involvement because the statistics are absolutely huge. Without father involvement, the increase in teenage suicide and drug and problems and runaways and everything is absolutely enormous.
What's the situation now? The husband or the male has to pay, what's the term, alimony for the children?
Child support,
child
alimony,
support,
yeah.
Yes.
Why the male? Why not the female?
Well, it depends in every case, obviously, but if the male was the breadwinner and the female was at home, then obviously the female being at home, being a domestic goddess, as they say,
Yes.
and running the household, wasn't earning an income. So in cases like that, the male needs to contribute so they can maintain food on the table, shelter, and a household.
Obviously, in this day and age, it's not always like that, and sometimes the father's got to be do all of those domestic things, especially if you've got the children for a week. So, how do you find you're dealing with both roles?
It's interesting. Initially, you're thrown into it, and your life is turned upside down, and you're in turmoil, and you don't know what to do, and it's trial and error, and that's one of the reasons why we set up this website called singleparentsuniversity.com, so we could provide support and help people from learning things as simple as recipes, basic simple recipes for a guy if you've hardly ever cooked, things like that.
As a single guy, although not a single parent, I just remember phone numbers, and they're the best recipe.
Yeah.
131166. Not that I'm plugging Pizza Hut or anything.
Yes.
Now, are there any situations that you think to yourself, this is amazing, and I'm so happy to get the wave of love rolling over you that would not have happened had you not been single parents?
Absolutely. I can actually, honest to God, say now that, as hard as it was at the beginning, I am now so grateful because I wouldn't be who I am today. I would not be the businesswoman that I am today, and I do run 3 businesses, and my children, I don't believe, would have I wouldn't have taught them to be independent because I have 3 girls and a son. They're very independent girls. They're business minded, and I know that no matter what happens, they will survive because that is what we've had to live with. We had to because I was the breadwinner and because I was the mother and the father and everything. The kids have also learned to stand on their own 2 feet, to work, to make ends meet, to do whatever has to be done. Everything from the cooking to the cleaning to running a household, the whole thing, and at the same time, to go through their education and university and anything else that they wanted to do, and know that they will be okay at the end of it. And that I wouldn't have done that if I was still married.
Sure.
Funny enough, but I would have still been the wife. And that's a big difference.
What about yourself, Paul?
There's a lot of advantages I've gotten from being a single parent. Obviously, I have time out for myself to do things that I want the weeks I don't have the kids. But more importantly, I think when I do have the kids, I cherish that time a lot more, and I do things with them and spend a lot more quality time with them. Previously, being the main breadwinner or working long hours and things, you'd only see them in the evening or early in the morning sometimes.
Sure.
But now, obviously, more committed to spending time with them, and your values. You realise what the importance and the value of your children and family is.
Up till now, we've just spoken about the parent issue, but we have, I guess, the children's issue and the child's issue. How much thought is put into that? Whether 1 week on, 1 week off is good for the child, and it might be better to stay at one parent's house the whole time, even though it might not be better for the other parent, but it's better for the child. Are these such things you think about?
Well, research has shown that children are extremely adaptable. And if there's routine in their lives, then whether it's 3 days on, 3 days off, or whether it's every second weekend, or so long as there's continuity in the way they're living, if the rules are the same in both households, from the discipline to the encouragement and rewards to when they do their homework and when they do their activities, if you can, wherever possible, create that to be the same in the household they're living in, then they adapt really easily and they're fine. As long as there's love from both families.
Yeah, and I imagine it would make a big difference if you have a good relationship with your ex-partner.
It makes all the difference in the world. If your relationship with your ex-partner is not amicable, it'll reflect on the kids. And I don't care what anyone says. I've seen mine, and my ex-husband's been gone for 15 years, and yet when he comes over, he'll still stay with us. He's still part of the family, does things with the kids. Haven't cut him out of the family, and that's made a huge. Okay, the kids do go through the emotional up and down, and everything, but it just makes it a lot more steady for them and healthier, rather than having the bickering and trying to get back at him or anything like that. It doesn't serve a purpose, and if anything, it's the children that are affected. And that for me was the number one thing, is to make sure that the children were in as big of an environment as possible.
Guys, Christina, Paul, thank you very much. Great advice.
you.
Wish you all the best.